What's going on, everybody? Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm CJ Vogel, bringing you a little bit of a Saturday update. Of course, the headline stealer is going to be Dakorien Moore, the number one wide receiver in the 2025 class, on campus today for the Texas Relays. He's out there running with that notorious Duncanville 4x1 squad, who might be in contention to break the national record that was broken a week ago by Atascocita. I'll dive into that here in a little bit, but a number of other talented prospects that Texas is looking after on campus this weekend. We'll start with Kelshawn Johnson, the speedy wide receiver out of Hitchcock down in the south area of Texas. Kelshawn was on campus Thursday. He ran, he performed, and quickly made the trip up to Texas Tech, where he was there this weekend for an unofficial visit. He posted that he was up in the press box at Texas Tech, got to hang out with that staff a little bit as well. Texas, again, one of the biggest players in that recruitment at the moment. He was able to check out, obviously, DKR, the Mike A. Meyer Stadium, where the track meet is held, obviously. A little bit of an unofficial there. A quick note here, recruits, when they come to Texas to perform in the Texas Relays, cannot talk or communicate with the Texas staff. That is a UIL rule. That is something that you cannot do if you're the Texas staff. It cannot be counted as an unofficial, and you cannot openly recruit while these recruits are performing or on campus to compete. So just a heads up there. But yes, Kelshawn Johnson was in Austin. He did check out the stadium, and he did go up to Texas Tech for an unofficial. He will be back in Austin April 6th, and he will be back in Austin again in June for his official visit, which is June 14th through 16th. So one to watch there. Speaking of Texas Tech, I ran into Ramon Adams, the Bastrop defensive back, who was prepping for the long jump and the triple jump. He should be a guy that will be back in contention for the state meet later on this spring. Really talented prospect, defensive back out of Bastrop. One I wanted to mention, Kawan Lacey, a familiar name for those that followed the 2024 cycle, running back out of Lancaster, ended up signing with Missouri, ran a 10.49 in the 100-meter dash, which actually did not qualify for the final heat this week. A rather remarkable time, and also rather remarkable that Texas speed is keeping a 10.49 out of the final heat of 9 guys in the 100-meter dash. The other name I wanted to mention, Braden Robinson and Taz Williams, two really talented wide receivers out of Red Oak, were on campus today. Braden Robinson, another one that's really, packing that speed. I talked to him just briefly after he was on campus today. Again, hoping to get back down to campus later this spring. I'm not entirely sure. He didn't mention how much Texas was recruiting him at the moment. This was a guy that I had heard early on, if Oklahoma pushed, they would probably be the team to look out for the most with Braden Robinson. And as we know, with 2025 wide receiver Taz Williams, Texas offered early on. He's close with Jonte Cook. But I think right now there are other wide receivers that Texas is prioritizing at the moment at that spot. So while Taz was on campus, I'm not entirely sure you'll see a whole lot of him on campus moving into the spring and into the summer months. But again, very talented prospect, a number of guys that in this 2025 class in Texas, just unfortunate, might not be that guy Texas pursues. But to the big name, Dakorien Moore, of course, the number one wide receiver in the 2025 class, on campus today, checking out DKR, running obviously with that 4x1 squad that made national headlines a week ago. But today I was able to watch their prelim heat. Dusted the competition, just wasn't close. They really just kind of, coasted, if you can, in a 40.47 4x1 time. If you call that a coast, you probably won't ever hear that again, but it was so smooth, so quick. I think they beat the number 2 team in that group by about 2.5 seconds. So really impressive. I wanted to go through this group of 4x1 runners for Duncanville. Of course, Asen Theus, currently 8 offers, a wide receiver in the 2026 class, Arizona State, Baylor, Auburn, Nebraska, Utah. Someone to keep an eye on. Of course, that speed is something that you just don't come across too often. Caden Durham, the LSU running back signee, one of the most instrumental pieces that helped lead Duncanville back to a state championship. Obviously, Dakorien Moore, a big piece of this. We'll talk about him in a bit. And Braden Williams, track-only guy, really talented kid. That is your number 2 ranked 4x1 squad in the entire country. And, of course, Dakorien Moore, who made the trip down with his mother to Texas, got to, hang out a little bit. And this is a familiar place for him, and it will be a familiar place for Dakorien Moore moving forward. I spoke with him just a little bit afterward to get an idea on where Texas was in his recruitment, what's his plan for the summer, and as well as getting back down to Texas here in a bit. But he was able to hang out around campus. Again, not able to speak with the coaches or anything like that. But when you run a 40.47 in the prelims, you get to go hang out around DKR, take a little power nap, and then come back for the finals, which is expected to happen around 1:30 p.m. Central Time Saturday. So I have yet to see the official times and how Duncanville kind of ended up running in that final relay. But again, this is I wanted to get into just how impressive this time is. Duncanville just ran a 39.65 a week ago in the Houston meet, which broke actually the national record of 39.76. Funny enough, they finished second in that final group behind Atascocita, who cleared 39 seconds. They finished 38.92. If this feels like a lot right now, a lot of numbers that I'm throwing at, if you're not, necessarily a track guy, here's the U20 USA team and how they finished in the 4x1 not too long ago, 38.62. And so you have a Houston area high school 0.3 of a second slower with just public high school kids. I think that's tremendous. A full second slower is Duncanville. Again, high school kids, not professional track kids, 3 of which will be playing football at the next level. Dakorien Moore, that number 1 guy. But here is my interview with Dakorien. He was able to spend a couple minutes with me following his preliminary heat before going over to DKR to kind of hang out, lounge, rest before getting back up and running again. Out here at the Texas Relays with 5-star, the number 1 wide receiver in the country, Dakorien Moore.
Yes, sir.
Here in Austin, what are we running today?
Today, prelims, we popped 41.4, bad handoffs, slow handoffs. Last week we ran fast 39, so the record 40.11, so we trying to bust that because we didn't already pass it, so we know we can get it.
How fun was that, kind of media storm after the record last week? What was your reaction to that?
Man, I actually had a reaction on the track, like literally as soon as they passed the finish line, passed the stick, and I just seen both third legs moving. We already know who's going to have a competition, so we were just looking at what the time was going to be. As soon as they passed the line, everybody just, ooh, man, I was like, what? He said 38.9 for them. I was like, oh my God. I'm running down the track, all hyped and everything. I called Mama. She was the first person I called.
So we're setting the record, hopefully, getting to test that a little bit again today. Obviously, success on the track, success on the football field as well. Committed to LSU at the moment here in Austin. What is it about Texas that's kind of still piquing your interest a little bit at the moment?
And just the art of it being close. It felt like home to me. I've been coming down the back here to Dallas since I was little, since I can even remember for real. But my mama most definitely keeps their contact. They stay in contact with me. They want to build a communication relationship. So it's already there.
Which coaches are really hitting you up here? Is it Coach Jackson, Coach Sarkisian? Who are you really hearing from the most?
The whole coaching staff, to be honest. They all, I say it's like a rotation for real. Like, they call me whenever, just check up on me and stuff like that. It's not really nobody specific.
What is about Sarkisian's offense that kind of piques your interest a little bit?
They are very explosive. Like, it's no plays that they take off. Every other play or every play, they gonna bust something, they gonna make something happen. It's gonna be something that you ain't never seen.
And then rumors of April 20th back here for the spring football game. Is that confirmed? You're coming back?
Honestly, I do not have the dates. My mother has them.
Yeah.
But it's sometime in April, most definitely I'm coming back.
Okay, perfect. And then with LSU, just talk about your commitment status there. How firm are you? Everything that goes into there.
I committed early, so I'm still locked in with them. That's where my eyes set on home is. But obviously, I'm still taking visits. I committed early, so my commitment ain't just closed yet.
Right. And then Colin Simmons, obviously, on campus today. You able to talk to him a little bit? What have you heard from Colin?
Even when I'm not on campus, he talking to me, texting me, sending me audio message, video, all that. He want me to come down here. We had that bond back in Dallas, so he want that to continue down here in Austin. Perfect.
And then as for the spring continues to go into the summer, what visits do you have lined up, and then any campuses you want to go check out?
No camps that I'm going to, but I do have my top 4 that I'm going to: Oregon, Texas, obviously, LSU, Ohio State.
Perfect. And when it comes down to it, obviously committed to LSU, but what's it going to take for those 3 other schools to kind of, if there is anything, that you'd look at to peel off?
It's nothing really specific. I'm just seeing what they got to offer, honestly. Just taking in everything. I'm weighing my options in at the end.
Perfect. And then is it safe to assume that those 4 schools will get officials in June?
Most definitely.
Perfect. So, yeah, great stuff from Dakorien. Again, not the guy that is going to be a very open to sharing and showing his cards in his recruitment. Obviously, still committed to LSU. Texas, in communication with him every day. I think that's very interesting. That's very important as well, whether it be Chris Jackson, Steve Sarkisian, Kyle Flood, Jeff Banks, whoever it is. Texas is basically sending in the full arsenal at Dakorien Moore, letting it be known that they are not letting up regardless of where he is currently committed. On Texas football, also learned that he will be visiting Texas April 6th as in another trip to Texas April 20th. So back-to-back visits in the month of April, very important. And it's also, noteworthy that Keelan Russell, his quarterback at Duncanville, will be on campus April 20th as well. So a lot going on in this recruitment. Also, I was able to see Colin Simmons, who was hanging around this Duncanville squad. Of course, a guy that was very close with Caden Durham, Dakorien Moore as well. Interestingly enough, LSU, probably a month or 2 away from getting the trio of them, with Colin Simmons, very close to ending up at LSU before signing with Texas. Colin was with Dakorien Moore and this group of Duncanville runners at the Mike A. Myers Stadium today. Dakorien actually mentioned Colin's in his ear very often about coming in and playing at Texas. Let it be known that is very important for the Longhorns because, again, this is a 5-star guy, and we talked about how important it is for Texas to start recruiting for itself, using those big name guys like Jonte Cook and Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons now to recruit for your program. Recruits talk to one another, especially when they go to the same school as each other. So Colin being, present for this 4x1 heat, very important. Certainly helps the Texas cause here. The other thing I wanted to mention is, hey, a top 4 for Dakorien Moore. It looks like Texas, LSU, Oregon, and Ohio State. Oregon's going to be a player here. Of course, we know that. We've seen that, whether it be with Jonte Cook, whether it be with Evan Stewart back in the day. They will stick around. They will be, threats to wide receivers in the Texas area. That's just who they are. Ohio State right now, I think, is running third fiddle. It certainly helps having Brian Hartline in the camp. If you're a 5-star wide receiver and you have the opportunity to go play at Ohio State, you would be a fool not to at least consider it in my eyes because of what they've been able to do, developing wide receivers into the NFL. But now Texas, of course, sending Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, A.D. Mitchell into the NFL this year, 2 likely first-round picks. And, hey, that wide receiver room is stacked again this year. Who knows what ends up with Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, Silas Bolden after a year. But Texas certainly in that mix. You actually heard a little bit of it about Dakorien Moore and how explosive that Texas offense is. That's what's kind of piquing his interest right now. So something to keep an eye on moving forward. Dakorien did not mention his official visit date. That will come out whenever he wants that time to release to get released. But Texas is expecting an official visit probably in that June 21st through 23rd weekend, that last weekend, very important weekend for the Longhorns. That's one that Texas is certainly hoping to get him on moving forward. So what's my big takeaway from this? Texas has a great opportunity here to chip away at LSU's lead here. On campus today, hung out with Colin Simmons, got to hear what it's like behind the scenes with the Longhorns, with spring practice, with winter conditioning. What's it like to be a Texas football player on campus? That's big. Plus, 2 visits in April coming up, an official visit yet to be announced, but will be happening for the Longhorns in June. 3 more opportunities for Dakorien Moore to get down to campus, to see Steve Sarkisian, see Chris Jackson, continue to build that relationship, and potentially and he didn't hint this to me, but Texas will be potentially making a move this spring when it comes to chipping away and getting him to flip to Austin. That will be obviously one of, if not the largest storylines for Texas recruiting going into the summer months. But Dakorien Moore on campus today, hanging out before heading back up to Duncanville tomorrow afternoon after everything has wrapped up. But hey, that is the Saturday update. I'm a little short of breath here, but man, what a day. What a day. Got to see some really really talented prospects out here. Now time to go climb the adversity hill for me. I sat in gum this morning. I got a nail in the tire. So the comeback story of the age is coming soon for me. But for On Texas Football, I'm CJ Vogel. This has been the Dakorien Moore update. We will be having more, obviously, on ontexasfootball.com. Until then, y'all have a good weekend and hook 'em.